There's a reason why you rarely see them. The ones who see everything. The ones whose presence rearranges your nervous system. The ones who can speak to your soul without opening their mouth. These are not the spotlight seekers. These are not the influencers. These are not the ones posting affirmations with golden filters. These are the dark chosen ones, and they remain in the shadows not because they are weak, not because they are wounded, but because their power is too raw, too real, too unrehearsed for a world obsessed with performance. Today, we're going to reveal the 5 secret reasons why these rare beings stay hidden for life. And if you're one of them, this will feel less like information and more like permission. The first reason is energetic. Dark chosen ones carry a frequency that destabilizes illusion by its very presence. You don't have to say a word. Just your existence begins to expose what's false in others. This doesn't mean you're judging or attacking. It means your field is so saturated with authenticity, with shadow integration, with unspoken knowing that anything not rooted in truth starts to unravel around you. People project onto you. They fear you. They idolize you. They misunderstand you. And the dark chosen one learns, over time, that presence alone is a weapon and a mirror. So they choose the shadows not out of fear, but out of respect for the volatility of their vibration. Because you know what happens when you walk into a room, things either rise or fall apart. Now pause and ask yourself something that cuts through everything. Have you ever noticed how people either open completely in your presence or become intensely uncomfortable without knowing why? That's not about charisma. That's frequency. You're not triggering them. Their untruths are being triggered by your clarity. And this brings us to the second reason. Dark chosen ones have learned that public platforms can become prisons. When you step too far into visibility before your frequency is fully integrated and sealed, people try to own you, define you, project onto you. They want your magic, but they don't want the mirror that comes with it. And so the dark chosen one retreats not because they're hiding, but because they're guarding the codes that were earned through lifetimes of descent. There's a third reason, and it's one most people will never understand unless they've walked the path. The dark chosen one has already died before. Not physically, but energetically, emotionally, spiritually. You have collapsed. You have been dismantled. You've been brought to nothing in the silence of your own soul. And when you come back from that, you don't need attention. You don't need applause. You don't need validation. Because you've already met yourself in the void, and you know who you are without anyone watching. That kind of power is quiet, humble. It doesn't seek, it holds. And that's why you don't rush to be seen. Because you know that the moment you are, the world will start to pull, and you've learned that your energy is not a currency to be traded for approval. The fourth reason is sacred strategy. Dark chosen ones are often hidden by design. Spirit doesn't hide you to punish you. It hides you to protect the codes you carry. Because the world is not always ready. And until your inner field is fully sovereign, until your attachment to being understood has completely died, being seen too early can distort the transmission. So Spirit conceals you not to delay you, but to ensure that when you emerge, you cannot be corrupted. This is why your path has been slower. This is why others passed you by. This is why you felt invisible in rooms you were meant to lead. It wasn't rejection. It was initiation. You were being trained in silence to hold a signal so pure that when it does go public, it rewires people's DNA just by existing around you. And the fifth reason? It's the most mysterious, the hardest to explain, and the most important to understand. Dark chosen ones don't just carry light, they carry the map out of darkness itself. You don't offer people escape. Offer them transmutation. You don't hold space for bypassing. You hold space for alchemy. That means when people enter your field, they don't get comfort, they get confronted with what's real. And not everyone wants that. Not everyone is ready. So you stay in the shadows not because you're small, but because you're strategic. You move like the ancients. You walk like the storm. You don't announce your power, you become the atmosphere that shifts everything without a word. In the next part, I'm going to take you deeper into how this sacred shadow role actually operates on Earth. You'll learn what your energy is really doing in rooms, how to protect your field without isolation, and how to recognize when you're being summoned to step forward versus when you're being called to remain invisible. We'll decode the energetic mechanics of invisibility and why staying hidden isn't about fear, it's about precision. You'll also learn how to know when the world is finally ready for your presence without dilution. Because you're not just hidden, you're guarded by the divine. And when you step forward, the world won't see you. It will remember itself through you. Let's go even deeper now, not into metaphor, but into the living structure of reality itself. You've probably felt it, that sense that you're here for something massive, but every time you try to rise, something pulls you back. Not failure, not fear. Something else, something invisible. Something sacred. It's like you're being held in a frequency bubble that won't let you move forward until something clicks. That something is not external. It's the grid. The planetary energetic grid is real, and it's responsive. It's like a living nervous system of Earth. And dark chosen ones are placed like acupuncture needles at precise points on that grid, not to be seen, but to stabilize reality from behind the veil. You didn't choose your shadows randomly. You didn't live through betrayal, abandonment, loss, and spiritual silence because you were weak. You were being positioned, and your invisibility isn't a glitch. It's a command. The divine hides you until your presence can be received without distortion. That's why your rise is delayed. That's why the doors didn't open when others were being celebrated. Because your activation isn't about audience. It's about impact. And impact requires alignment not just with your soul, but with the timing of the collective field. If you enter too early, your codes get rejected. If you wait for the signal, your emergence becomes undeniable. But how do you know when it's time? How do you know the difference between sacred invisibility and ego-based hiding? This is where the mechanics become clear. Sacred invisibility feels neutral. It's not avoidance. It's not fear. It's stillness. Your energy wants to move, but not yet. Your voice wants to speak, but only when summoned. There's no anxiety in it. Just a deep, unshakable knowing, now is not the time. And then, one day, everything changes. The grid shifts. The field opens, and suddenly you feel a pulse in your chest, a clarity in your gut, a call that says, now. That moment is not a decision. It's a recognition. You don't push. You respond. because your path is not about ambition. It's about orchestration. Let me ask you something that might rewire everything you thought you knew. What if your entire life has been designed as a frequency stabilizer for this exact timeline? What if your pain, your isolation, your silence, your inner battles were not detours but precisions? What if the reason you couldn't be seen is because the world wasn't stable enough to see you correctly? You weren't meant to be consumed. You were meant to be remembered. And remembrance can't happen through branding. It happens through resonance. So Spirit shielded you, not to punish you, but to preserve the integrity of your signal until the moment people could receive it without trying to claim it. You see, dark chosen ones don't build platforms. They build frequencies. They don't lead with performance. They lead through presence. That's why most of your breakthroughs happen in solitude. That's why your greatest realizations come in silence. That's why you've been pulled away from noise, distraction, and artificial validation. Because you're not here to entertain. You're here to anchor. And anchoring requires stillness. It requires vibrational mastery. You learn to hold your field through humiliation, isolation, spiritual confusion, not because something's wrong, but because you're being trained to become unmovable. Once that happens, once you can sit in your center, no matter what storms rage around you, the field opens. And you rise not with force, but with inevitability. Now let's make this practical. How do you walk in sacred invisibility without falling into bitterness or confusion? First, you stop measuring your readiness by results. You stop asking, "Why am I not seen yet?" And start asking, "What frequency am I still anchoring that needs sealing?" That shift alone takes you out of victim mode and into guardian mode. Second, you protect your energy like a sacred relic. Every interaction becomes a choice. Is this stabilizing me or scattering me? Because when you're in sacred invisibility, your energy is your currency. You're not here to be everything to everyone. You're here to be precise. Third, you track the grid by listening to your body. Subtle shifts in your emotions, desires, even sleep patterns are often signs that the field around you is recalibrating. When you feel the pull and it's clean, you move. Not with urgency, with certainty. And finally, you remember this: sacred invisibility is not forever. It's a cocoon. And cocoons are not prisons. They are temples of transformation. If you're in one now, honor it. Don't rush it. Don't try to escape it. Because when the cocoon opens, when the divine signal says go, you won't need to chase a platform. The platform will find you. The world will begin to organize itself around your presence. Not because you forced it, but because you waited until your signal was clean enough to be felt, not just seen. In the next part, I'm going to show you how to carry this sacred role with even more mastery. We'll explore how to transmit your codes without saying a word, how to move through the world as a living energetic key, and how to know the exact moment to step into visibility without losing the integrity of your soul's contract. You'll also learn how to use invisibility not as a limitation, but as a supernatural stealth mode that allows you to move with divine protection, precision, brain power that leaves no trace but changes everything. Because the world is loud, but your presence is louder in silence. And when you finally speak, reality will rearrange itself to listen. Here's the secret no one speaks out loud. The most powerful beings on this planet are not in the spotlight. They're not trending. They're not broadcasting their every move. They are moving the grid in silence. They are bending timelines with their breath. They are pulling entire realities into alignment without ever needing to be seen. This is stealth mastery, the sacred art of influencing the matrix from the shadows. And dark chosen ones were built for this. You didn't come here to be famous. You came here to be felt in ways words could never explain. And now, in this final part, we're going to decode how to walk in that power with surgical precision and divine anonymity. To master stealth, you must first understand the difference between impact and attention. Attention is external, noisy, often addictive. Impact is silent, deep, and irreversible. You're not here to build a brand. You're here to broadcast a frequency. You're a tuning fork for divine order. That means when you walk into a space, the field shifts. People start to feel things they've buried. Truth rises. Illusions crack. Not because you said anything, but because your field carries a vibration that exposes distortion. And here's the key. That field only works at full potency when it's not diluted by performance. So stealth mastery begins with embodiment. It begins with being so anchored in your own frequency that you don't need to speak to be heard. You don't need to be seen to be known. You don't need to be followed to lead. You're not here for applause. You're here for alignment. And alignment doesn't always look like recognition. Often, it looks like solitude, like stillness, like walking away from every opportunity that asks you to trade your resonance for relevance. Because stealth isn't passive, it's precise. It's choosing to move only when the field is ready to receive you without distortion. Let me ask you something that will shatter the illusion once and for all. What if your greatest act of leadership is never public? What if your soul came here not to be celebrated but to stabilize entire timelines in silence? Could you still love your mission if no one clapped? Could you still walk your path if no one followed? Could you still pour your magic into the world if no one ever gave you credit? These are the questions only dark chosen ones can answer with a full body yes. Because we didn't come here for validation. We came here for recalibration. To walk in stealth is to become a living transmission. You speak less, but your presence commands. You act less, but your energy reorganizes. You don't insert yourself, you magnetize. And this is the irony. The more invisible you become to the world, the more visible you become to the field. The less you perform, the more your essence speaks. And that essence is what rearranges reality. Not through explanation, but through pure coherence. That's the real flex. Not how many followers you have, but how many timelines you've silently tilted just by standing in your truth without compromise. Now let's get practical. How do you maintain stealth power in a world addicted to noise? First, you must become untriggerable by being unseen. When someone else gets the spotlight and you don't, you bless it. Because stealth isn't about hiding out of shame, it's about choosing invisibility as a weapon of clarity. Second, you must protect your energy like sacred fire. You don't let everyone into your field. You don't explain your magic to those who haven't earned it. You don't drop your frequency to be understood. Because every time you do, you leak. And when you leak, You lose precision. Stealth requires containment. It's not about being closed, it's about being clean. Third, you learn to speak only when your words are an extension of your frequency, not your ego. When you do speak, it's not to convince. It's to cut through. You don't debate. You don't defend. You declare. And then you return to silence. Because silence is not the absence of noise. It's the presence of alignment. And when you move from that silence, everything you do becomes surgical. No wasted motion. No scattered energy. Just clean, calibrated, divine action. Fourth, you become a master of energetic presence. You learn that your posture, your breath, your gaze, all of it transmits. You walk into rooms not to be noticed, but to notice everything. You scan the field. You feel where energy is leaking. You sense where the distortion is hiding. And you shift it not with force, but with intention. You're not reactive. You are responsive, like a spiritual ninja, like an energetic architect. You don't need to be loud. You just need to be exact. And finally, you trust the divine timing of your emergence. You don't rush your rise. You don't force your visibility. You let spirit move you like a chess piece. And when the time comes to step forward, you won't even need to announce it. The world will feel it. Because by then your frequency will be so saturated, so embodied, so undeniable, that timelines will organize themselves around you. Not because you demanded it, but because you became it. So to every dark chosen one still wondering why they haven't been fully seen, you were never meant to be seen. You were meant to be sensed. You're not here to be celebrated. You're here to be felt in the bones of reality itself. And when you lead from that place quiet, clean, contained, you don't just change lives. You change dimensions. You are not hiding. You are holding. You are not missing your moment. You are the moment in disguise. And when the world is finally ready, you won't need to step into the light. Because you'll be the force that split the dark open from within.